back. This episode here, I guess it's a news episode. Um, this is on CoinDesk, and here's the author, and there's the date, and here's the title: is Banking Survey: 65% of U.S. consumers unlikely to buy Bitcoin. And of course, because not everyone will buy Bitcoins. All right. You gotta remember, there's only a limited amount that's ever gonna come into creation. All right. And so I hate to say this, but there will be a good portion of the world that will never ever be able to get a Bitcoin. All right. Some by choice, others just because there's only going to be 21 million that ever come into creation. All right, and so you got to realize, for those who seek it out, those are the people that are going to get Bitcoins. That kind of makes sense. I mean, those who don't seek it will never get Bitcoins. Kind of makes sense, right? So, anyways, I read the article, and I think there's some really truth to it. I mean, I mentioned quite a bit in my previous episode about old age, like literally old age, and some of the things in this survey kind of indicate what I've been saying. The old age will it's a passing of time, old age, and this is the beginning of the new age, and we'll take a look back at that. So, anyways, read the article; it's very good. I actually clicked on the actual survey itself, and here it is. And I guess they kind of, it's interesting. People want to know about something without ever getting involved in it. And what do? They do a survey. And I don't know who paid for the survey, but I hope they didn't waste your money. I hope they wasted their own money in doing the survey, but we'll see what's going on in this. And what's funny? I was just in Washington D.C. Y'all should have just called me. I would have told you all this. Anyways, here you go. Here it is. And here's some interesting things here. And respondents indicated they learned about banking or financial products from their bank or credit union or from the internet. Fewer received this information from friends or family, television, or other, including financial planners or the newspaper. And there's a note that they could select more than one. So the people they surveyed, most of the information they get is from the banks or financial institution themselves, or over the internet. Okay. Or it looks like some little bit friends and family, a little bit on television, but most of it comes from the actual financial institutions or the internet. Makes sense. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Alright, so the next one is awareness of Bitcoin and other virtual currencies. So over half of respondents said that they have heard of a Bitcoin or virtual currency. Among those who heard of virtual currency, the most common source of information were the internet. Okay, and so I guess it's good to know that at least 51% have heard of it now. I think there's still a lot of people who don't even know what exactly it is or how to use it. So there you go. And let me see, levels of awareness. Again, another interesting thing about this is it does depend a lot on gender, race, and income, and education. This is their survey. I'm just going off of their information here. So mostly men, not too many women, but But if you look at this, this is just really a snapshot of what's really going on in the workforce. Um, as far as percentage of males who are more financially literate than than women, in my opinion. Not that that's good or bad, but I think men have a different view of finance versus women and their view of finance. Um, Men's lives revolve around finance, um, because and this is gonna sound funny, all right? This is gonna sound weird, but this is just my opinion. Um, Not all men are 6 feet tall and have a chiseled jaw and a 12 pack, maybe a 12 pack of beer, but they don't have a 12 pack on their stomach, all right? And we're not all us men aren't all gorgeous. But the thing we can do is we can try to make a lot of money to attract women, all right? And I believe the only reason why 38% are aware of virtual currency are women is it's my belief that in today's in America, most women don't care about money because they rely on men to produce the money. If you ask most women what do they care about, they probably care about apparel, clothing, makeup, shoes, okay, things like that. Most, not all. I'm just generalizing, and I think that's probably why women probably represent a very low percentage of knowledge of virtual currency, because they don't really make money. They get the men to make money. In some ways, women are pretty smart. All they have to do is just look beautiful and just get the men to work for them, if you want to see it that way. And then here's some other ones. Whites are 51%, Hispanics 54, and then 51% more likely than Afro Americans, which are 37%, to have heard about virtual currency. So just hearing about it, not that they would really use it. Okay, and then let me see, more individuals residing in household incomes over 100,000, which is 70%, have heard of virtual currencies than the lower income households, which is 43%. So obviously there's some concern for people of some wealth, because I think they're starting to realize, when I talked about the pyramid has been built, and to keep money flowing, you have to erode the base until it just erodes all the way down to nothing. And I think there's some pressure among, I would say, the middle class. And so, if you think about $100,000, depending where you live, $100,000 in, let's say, New York City is nothing. All right, or in San Francisco, it's nothing. It really is. You're not gonna. You probably just pay the bills if you earn $100,000 in a household income. Probably meaning both husband and wife, or two spouses. You can't. You never know these days. You can't say husband and wife anymore. You could be wife and wife or husband and husband these days. But I'm saying that, you got two incomes making maybe that amount, and then if you live in a coastal area, example, New York City, or in that New York City area, or San Francisco area, $100,000 is nothing. It's not nothing, but it's not a lot like most people would think. Now, if you're in Texas making $100,000, you basically are making $500,000 compared to someone in New York. All right, just to let you know. And then this one is higher percentage of college graduates, the young. Remember I talked about the new age? The young, the ones that are probably debt-ridden, um, maybe even student, may have a lot of student loans. If you're fortunate not to have a lot of student loans, uh, you're very fortunate. But I think um, most most young college graduates realizing are starting to realize um, the education they paid for will probably not pay back in what they owe in debt, or they already started off with a tremendous amount of debt, working their way out of it, and that that degree doesn't really mean anything because there's so many people, so many going into college because we're told to, right? And you tell your children, or you've been told by your parents, or you've been told by your school or somebody that's the way to go. And there's nothing wrong with getting an education, but if you are banking on an education, literally, if you are banking on your education, you are going to be competing with just about everybody else. And I think the very young generation who are burdened with the debts um, that this generation has put onto them, I think they're starting to realize they've gotten the short end of the stick. So, this is the new age, everyone. It's not for the old, not for the old age. It's for the new age. And then this goes down to more stuff. Likelihood of use of bitcoins under virtual currencies. And I was reading this, and it is what it is. I think the 65% sounds right because we are in a time of conversion. And considering that bitcoins have only been in existence for 5 years, this makes a lot of sense. Anybody heard of the 80-20 rule? Well, this is going to flip over eventually. All right, and the old age and the old world order, or I should say the old new world order, I don't know how you want to put it, well, they're going to die off, literally. They will be dying. They will be going the way of dinosaurs. And so this sounds right. Everything in this report sounds just about right at this point in time. Okay? And then there's more stuff here. Younger response, more willing to purchase in Bitcoin. That makes a lot of sense. This is kind of interesting. Greater proportion of Hispanics and African Americans than whites say they were at least somewhat likely to purchase Bitcoins. I think that has a lot to do with, I wouldn't say remittance, but the fact that maybe they feel abused by the financial system or ignored. They're more apt to using Bitcoin. So that makes a lot of sense. And then response with high household income were likely to say they may purchase Bitcoin. And that makes sense too because they're getting squeezed. Probably just middle income. I wouldn't say these are high income. I think these were people who are a middle income, the middle class maybe, and they're just getting squeezed and they're looking for an alternative other than what's there now because, like I told you, the pyramid is literally being eroded from the base, and it's going to continue to go until there is nothing. Literally. I've said it before. I think this survey pretty much confirms it. And then there goes some other concerns expressed related to virtual currency. Secure, is it insured, is it regulated? for the most part, is it secure? It's it's secure as you are. In other words, the only way someone can take your bitcoins from you is if you give it to them. And if you're foolish enough to give it to them, then it's only as secure as how secure you are. And it's going to be a learning curve for a lot of people because they've relied on a central authority to be their shepherd. Now you're going to have to be your own shepherd. You're going to have to protect yourself. You're going to have to defend yourself. Because I see that coming anyway, whether you are under a central authority or not, because they're going to abandon you. You're going to be abandoned, alright? Don't think that these central authorities care about you in any shape or way or form. They don't. They only care about you as long as they can feed off of you. And once they realize they can't feed anymore, they're going to abandon you. Okay? And all those people who believed in them, alright, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to have a rude awakening. Now, here's another one, is whether or not Bitcoin is insured. There is no insurance. There will never be an insurance on Bitcoins itself. The only insurance that Bitcoin has is your belief in it. That's about it. And how insured is it? Is how strongly you believe in it. Alright, and then is Bitcoin regulated? There will be an attempt to regulate Bitcoin, but I really doubt that it will be regulated. Put it this way, you know who's the regulator of my Bitcoins? Me. I am the regulator. I decide when, where, what, who, when, how, all those. Okay, and essentially you will become the regulator, not somebody else imposing their will onto you. Alright, you will have free will on your own Bitcoins. Now here's another one. Whether or not transactions made with Bitcoin are taxable. I guess a lot of people don't really care either or, in either way. Whether or not you could obtain Bitcoin at your bank. I just don't see that happening. I just don't see banks getting involved in Bitcoin in any way, because it just takes power away from the banks. It takes the monopoly away from the banks. I just don't see it. I don't think it's going to happen. So that's this part here. And then you talk about more of the respondents. So out of the 354 respondents, here's some of their their answers or the thoughts. 87 of them, which is 25%, said they would never use Bitcoin. Wouldn't surprise me if those are the very old, who already have of the old age, literally old age. 59% would 59 respondents, which is 70%, say they would want to know whether Bitcoins were safe before purchasing them. And they are as safe as you want them to be. Okay? That's how safe they are. Everything depends on you. You are no longer relying on a central authority. You are the central authority in Bitcoins. How safe they are depends on how safe you are. How safe do you want yourself to be? If you're foolish enough to give away your Bitcoins to the evil forces out there who will come and attack you once they know you have Bitcoins, empower yourself. bear arms, raise your army. That's how safe you have to make yourself. Now, if you can't do that, I don't know what to say. You're just a sheep. You know, you need to go back to your shepherd. And then 50 respondents, which is 14%, said they did not understand the purpose of virtual currency. That's going to happen a lot. A lot of people are not going to understand, mainly because in order to understand, you have to experience virtual reality. And I think for the old, the concept of virtual reality is beyond them. And it kind of, you can actually see in the survey the concept of virtual reality and what it means to co-create with the creator is beyond them. They cannot realize that idea because they've been shepherded. They've been told what to do, how to do it, when to do it. The concept of co-creating with the creator, where it's an interaction. Again, it's beyond them, and they will never come to realize that experience, unfortunately, and they will literally die off because they were unable to reach that. They were unable to reach that point. I'm sorry. Okay, and then 47 respondents, or 13%, said they would want to know whether Bitcoin will hold their value. Well, I have an answer for that. Not only will they hold their value, because well, how about this? Bitcoins have no value. What if I told you that? Would you buy a Bitcoin? Remember what I said. Bitcoins don't exist. What you did was you bought nothing. Would you still buy it? Now on the flip side, what if I told you Bitcoins will go to infinity? In other words, nobody will sell you a Bitcoin. Because once they realize what Bitcoin really is, they will not sell you. They will not sell you a Bitcoin. I'll give you an example. How much money would I have to pay you to take your life? How much money would I have to pay someone to take your life? Would anybody do that? Of course not. And that's kind of like what Bitcoin's going to be like. It's going to go to infinity. And remember, there's only going to be 21 million that's ever going to come into creation. That's just my opinion on it. Okay, so, and I'm really glad this survey came out because what I think about it is it's out there. It's mind blowing if you can handle it, but or this is all nonsense. You know, it's just my opinion, just what I think. Anyways, it comes to the last part. It's only 5 pages, and you know, there's some open-ended questions here, which I think I should answer if there were any questions about this, and you know, this is from the general population. I'll try to answer it the best way I can. Of course, these are my answers. If you ask someone else, maybe they'll have a different answer. I don't know, but I think I should give you my answer because I'm immersed in this stuff, and you would think you want some answers from someone who's really immersed into it. So let's go over some of the first questions here. What benefits, if any, Bitcoin offer over traditional currencies? Okay. Uh, what benefits? Well, and right, this is my answer to it. The benefit is, unlike money, stocks, and bonds, or anything like that, is my belief that Bitcoins will bring you closer, or will lead you, and I mean literally, will lead you to the Creator. And if you're able to interact with the Creator, you'll learn so many things beyond traditional currencies and traditional, beyond money. So there's that answer. Okay. Okay. Whether Bitcoins will hold their value over time. Okay. Let me try to answer that. Yes, they will hold their value over time, and no, they will not. So, if you've seen my previous episodes, I mentioned they'll go to infinity, and then shortly after then, they'll be worthless, or sometime after then, they'll be worthless. I don't know if that helps answer your questions, but there you go. What vendors accept Bitcoins? Well, I guess there's a few now. If you want some currently at this point in time, what is today? Today is August 27th, 2014. So Dell, Expedia, Overstock's always mentioned. They were one of the first major ones. Dish Network, Tiger, Newegg, Bitcoin Boulevard. I mean, I don't know. Go look it up. But at the same time, if you ask me, any vendor accepts Bitcoin if they will accept it. Okay. Anybody. Okay, how many other consumers use Bitcoins? Well, I don't know the answer to that, but I would assume a lot. The number of use in wallets are growing, so I would think it's more. Okay, whether Bitcoins are refundable or transferable into dollars. Okay, they're refundable in a traditional sense. I'm sorry, they're refundable in a non-traditional. Let me see. They are refundable, but not in the way you would think in the traditional sense. In other words, in order to get refunded, you can't take it back. Whoever you sent it to has to give it back to you. All right. So none of this stop payment, none of this reversals, none of that stuff. Once you give it, it's gone. And the only way to get it back is by asking nicely. All right. And you'll be surprised if it's a genuine mistake, you'll get it back. I have accidentally sent a lot of Bitcoins by accident to a person I've traded with. And what they've done is they didn't give it back. They actually sent it to the address that I wanted to originally go, and they did it. So there's some honesty that's involved. Okay, it's not because you feel you were cheated in any way, or you think that they shouldn't get the money after you paid them, and have it stopped or reversed. So they are refundable, just not in the way you think. Or transferable into dollars. They are transferable into dollars if you still want to go that way. You have to ask nicely for someone to take it in dollars. All right. So it's different. You're not being forced to do it. You have to be honest, considerate, and truthful. It's a different way of doing things. There's no central authority for you to whine at because you know because you want to cheat others. Okay, and it's going to be different for those people who are used to doing things that way. Um, you're well, you should stay with the old world and die off. Uh, whether fees are associated with purchase and use of bitcoins. I guess it depends who and where you get it from. You got to remember, bitcoins are dictated. The price of Bitcoin is dictated by the seller. The seller can ask for $1 billion for one Bitcoin. Will that seller get it? Probably not anytime soon, in my opinion, but over time, it's possible for that seller to get $1 billion for that Bitcoin. Over time. It's going to be a long time, but over time it will. So, yeah, sure, why not? Alright, whether Bitcoin's consumer personal information is secure. I would say yes, because there are no consumer information on a Bitcoin at all. There is no information on a Bitcoin unless you give it. Okay, there's nothing attached to that Bitcoin that verifies your identity in any way, shape, or form unless you give it. Let me see, whether Bitcoins are legal and or legitimate. Well, let me ask you, I've said this so many times, is it illegal to buy nothing? Is it illegal to sell nothing? Or let me put it this way, if someone sold me air and I agreed to buy air, is that illegal? What if I sold air and someone agreed to buy air from me? Bitcoins by themselves are completely 100% legitimate. And if anybody ever says any otherwise, we'll take it to court, and we'll see who wins. Let me see, the history and background of Bitcoins. Well, I'm not going to get into that because they can Google that. Let me see how the process of purchasing and using Bitcoin works. I'm not going to get into that either because I think you can Google it. Very simple, very easy. You just need to educate yourself. The exchange rate of Bitcoins to dollars. You can use various exchanges. I mentioned in my episodes, Bitfin's a leading exchange right now by volume in US dollars. You can use Bitstamp, Bitsy, Coinbase, whatever you want. You can also dictate your own price. Alright? So that's what's great about it, is you're in control. No one's telling you how to use your own Bitcoins. You are in control. You are co-creating. You have absolute free will. Let me see. How Bitcoin accounts can be monitored. Well, you just look at the blockchain. Everyone can view your wallet. And in my opinion, you don't want anybody viewing your wallet, so you always get a new address key. Same wallet, different address key. But if you want someone to monitor what the hell you're doing all the time, you can keep that same address key and yeah, alright, have fun. At what extent Bitcoin are used in illegal transactions? That's a very easy question to answer. Whatever illegal activity is being done in US dollars right now can also be done with Bitcoins. It's that simple. If you think of Bitcoins as money or as US dollars, you can actually say they're one and the same. The only difference is the US dollar portion of it is extremely monitored, extremely regulated through the banking system. But as far as illegal tender cash, it's just as the same. The only difference is you can't have $1 billion in your pocket walking around the streets. Well, you can, but it's you're gonna have some kind of entourage with you to protect you. That's the difference. That's a major difference. And you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want through legal tender too. But physical form of money is a physical burden. A virtual currency form of money is not a physical burden. It is actually very secure in my opinion. So, anyways, I hope that answers a lot of the questions here. I just want to go into that. And so, read it for yourself. And I think there's some validity to this survey. A lot of things that I mentioned is now confirmed through this survey. New age, old age, the pyramid being eroded, turning into sand. The pyramid is literally being eroded away from the base. So that pyramid is just shrinking until it goes down to nothing. Anyways, I hope this helped you out. Let me go to a quick chart analysis because I know that's what you wanted. But here is a quick chart analysis here. So this is on 12-hour. This is Bitfin, and you can see Bitstamp, Bitsy, the Chinese exchange. They're all starting to pair up, but Bitsy is lower, and it's not $10 to $20 lower, but it's about average low compared to the others. So, which basically means it's going to be normalizing this area. There may be a potential for a move up because if you look at this bigger chart analysis, now I'm with a 12-hour backing up further. So usually I'm kind of like, let me see here. Usually I'm looking at it like this. And if you were around here, you can see this was the support line, and when it broke through, it just started cascading down. But if you back out and you see the chart analysis now, you'll see that this again was the supporting line before it started breaking out and up. So it kind of was in that range here. So you see another line here, another line here. I mentioned that it would probably range around here, but it broke up, ranged here to come down. It'll range here. Right now, this is forming right in the middle, and the huge gap that I mentioned on this two average lines looks like they're closing in. And there's a couple scenarios what can happen here. It's I just really feel, no matter how much the miners put out into the market, no matter how much they sell, no matter, the difficulty rate is getting harder and harder every time. They're just going to get less and less Bitcoins to put out into the market. No matter how hard they put out into the market, they're just going to get less and less. So there's some pressure to push it upwards, despite some of the reports that I've heard. Now, at some point, the miners got to start utilizing their Bitcoins in a different way. They really got to do that. Just selling it out into the market is well, they're just selling themselves short, in my opinion. At some point, they got to realize they could use that as collateral for something else, to expand on their mining operation, to start an actual operation of a brick and mortar, physical operation of a store, accepting cash and Bitcoins only, building a Bitcoin ecosystem. But I don't know, maybe they're not there yet. Maybe they're not thinking about it in the way I'm thinking about it. Doesn't matter to me because I'm going to do it, and they're going to be left out. They literally have sold out. So I see a nice bounce back. A couple things it could happen here. It could bounce down again. In either case, I think it's just going to bounce down only to go back up. So you're looking at these two ranges in price and where they're going to move around. And so if it does cross over, which it looks like it really is trying to, it's gonna probably hit up here. And so this trend line is this recent resistance right here. So if anything, it's got 550, looks like around 550. So it could possibly go up to 550 before it hits a resistance. The other option is that it can also go down to 450, bounce around here to push back up again. You know, it's hard to say, but at least you'll get an idea based on what's going to happen with the price, where to put your stops, your buy limits, all this good stuff, your limits, your stop orders, whatever. But now you're looking at a bigger chart and a bigger time frame, and this should help you out. And so ultimately, if it breaks up here, you're looking at another resistance up here with these two lines here. So that's the chart analysis I have. For me, it does look like, let me see here, that's too close. Oh, it does look like it's just bouncing in here, and there's going to be some pressure being squeezed as to whether it's going to hit up or it's going to hit down. Considering it's already hit down here once, twice, I doubt it's going to hit. It just doesn't seem like it's going to come down a third time, because then that'd be too easy. You know, if it does, have some buy orders in right around at this price, because I think that's where it's going to stop, and it's going to shoot back up again and hit up here if it's going to come down. If it's not, because usually you don't get that third chance after it hits down here and hits here, you don't get that third chance to get that opportunity again. You missed out. It's gonna wiggle here in a little bit, and then it's gonna probably pop. And this is where the resistance is gonna be. You'll probably see a lot of sell orders up here. If it happens to break through, you're looking at 620, and that's where the next resistance is gonna be. And so you got about $100 going up. Why not? It dropped $100, moving up $100. A price movement of $100 to $200 is not uncommon with Bitcoins. It's actually pretty common, actually, especially at you know, if you pull back far enough, especially at the range price that we're at. You notice that the spike in $1,000 makes the spike in $200 look like a little blip. Well, everything from this point on is just going to get more and more volatile, because again, it's going to get harder and harder to get Bitcoins. And on top of that, I think the momentum is carrying forward more and more. At first, you know, when I heard, only 3% of the people even heard of Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. Now we're at 51% have heard about it. And so as time goes on, as the old age die off and the new age are brought into this world, you're going to see that increase. It's going to flip over. The world is flipping over. I'm telling you, it's flipping over. I don't know. Sometimes it just goes on deaf ears. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's not quite like any other episodes I've done. It's more news, but more informative regarding the survey here. Let me go back to that survey. So going back to the survey, I'm actually glad the survey came out, because this confirms a lot about what I've been saying. So it gives me a lot of insight onto what's going on out there, and I guess it's good that these people are trying to do something. If they really want to do something, they really want to experience it, they should really get into the Bitcoin, trading, using it, experimenting with it, see how it's traded, see how you can acquire it, see how you can sell it, just experiment with the different ways you can use it. It's a radical idea, because it doesn't exist. It only exists, it only has value because you believe it. So for those who don't believe and never will believe, well, it's worthless. But for those who do understand the power of belief, all right, to have faith in something that doesn't exist, I think you'll get to know the Creator, and the Creator will come to you and reveal whatever itself to you. You know, that's just my opinion. That's the experience that I've been having. If you haven't noticed, if you haven't been seeing my episodes, but anyways, feel free to comment, like, dislike, comment, even do a video response. Until next time, stay tuned.